Good morning. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Hi. Sorry for the late start. Um, Kitten wrangling. They are all over the house this week. They have settled in. So you may hear some news. And one of them may actually pop onto screen because one of them keeps climbing up on me. So yeah, kittens. And hello, Rhea. Lovely to see you. And good morning, CJ. So yeah, it is Valentine's Day. It's Father's Day. So I thought let's be a little cheeky and do some Darth Vader this morning. Because father. Allegedly, part of Darth Vader was Vader is close to father, and I think Dutch. I think that's just happenstance. I don't think that George Lucas ever put that much thought into anything. And I picked a couple. This is the cover page from Empire Strikes Back color book I have. This is from Return of the Jedi, from the Return of the Jedi book, and this is another Empire Strikes Back page. I normally take a little time to warm up before a live stream. Did not today. So this is a pretty good page just to sort of start picking at. So I can warm up a little. And it's not like there's a lot to it. It'll go pretty fast. Anyway, how is everyone today? Yes, also that. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, to all who celebrate. And if you're somebody who does not, because I know not everyone has a great relationship with their dad, or some people who may be dads and don't have great relationships with their kids for whatever reason, no worries. We'll hang out today, and well, for a little bit anyway, not all day, of course, but we'll hang out for a little bit and chat. Matt is asleep. We have no human children, but we have all these cat babies. So we're gonna make them some steaks later and do a tomato pesto compound butter. And probably do a big fancy homemade mac and cheese. So I got the heavy cream and all-purpose flour so that I can make a nice cheesy sauce. And of course, like 3 different shredded cheeses. So we'll do that today. Yeah, so it'll be, Also, we survived the first week of 4 kittens, plus the 3 cats we already had. So it's been quite the excitement this week. Also, I'm going to close the door because they are now attacking the hallway. So yeah, cats, and more cats. Good morning, Nolan. Hello. Happy. I believe I'm remembering correctly that it's a happy Father's Day for you. If not, apologies. Good morning, Boba Hicks. Lovely to see you. And like I said, I'm just going to warm up with this cover page. The coloring usually goes much better if I warm up. And I just did not have time this morning. I stayed in bed too long with kittens. And so they're all at that point where they just want to cuddle and sleep on you and all the things. So I was like, okay, well, I'll stay in bed a little extra. It's a little bit easier on the stream where I don't have a guest. I can just get all my stuff set up, and then it goes a lot quicker when I'm not expecting somebody who may not always know how to set their stuff up. So, and see, this is why we warm up. It's a little out of the lines there. In fact, it'll be fine. And we'll clear that up later. And go in with a pink pen or something. And then we'll have like a glow effect, like I planned it all along. Oh, kitten violence. Something. Need to edit. I made a video of them fighting this morning, and it very much was like the girls. If you've ever seen Airplane, there's that scene with the Girl Scouts. It was very much sort of like that. And so I might see if I can find the sound clip for that, for the Girl Scouts from Airplane later, and edit the video to that. Hi. Sir, that's my butt. I don't need any cat claws in my butt. All right. Are you ready for your debut, Edmund? This is Edmund. Sir, look up. There you go. All right. You've made your debut. Go away. I don't need... I'm not turning you into a screen kid. We see how well that went for Candace Cameron and Kurt Cameron. They're assholes now. Anyway. All right. That is Edmund. He is actually my shadow right now. He fussed at me earlier when I was getting out of the shower and I came out and opened the bathroom door. Because I shut the door and he couldn't go in with me. So. It's good though. They're fitting in quite well, and it's nice to have the bounce around the house and just the kittenness of it all. I'm very glad that we adopted 4 more cats. But they did their vet visit, clean bill of health. Everyone's healthy. Right weight for how old they are. Good morning, Cobb, and happy Father's Day to you. All right, I'm gonna finish. I don't know that I'll do the entire logo, but it's, you know, it's good for getting a hand going. Got a bunch of stuff I'm going to film tonight, so all the more important to sort of warm up the hand rather than just plowing through and having cramps later. I can do 8 to 10 hours in a day of coloring as long as I do warm up. Excellent. All right. So I like a Vader with the red lenses. I know that he actually didn't have those after the original Star Wars. And even in the original movie, it's not always evident those are supposed to be red. But that's my preferred Vader look. So I'm going to do that. On this mini Vader head here. Hello, Berdazzle. Lovely to see you. Thank you for popping in. And hello, Roddy Riles. I hope you are having an amazing day. Good job on Punk's show the other night. It's not an easy format. It's also not always easy to hold your side of the conversation with Lawrence. So, very good. And I'm going to put a little background music in, just so that it's there. Plus, it helps distract me from the kitten violence outside. They're thumping. So, I'm going to just do the red for the background too. Again, this one isn't about, I'm going to say, all the extra fun for this one. They are going to town up there. I apologize for the sound of crashing. It's funny, okay. So, this is how old I am, right? I've seen every Star Wars movie in the theater 7 times, and that includes each of the special editions. So technically, I've seen the movie we now know as A New Hope, 14 times. 7 times from between 1977 and 1981, which I think is the last time they re-released the original. And then 7 times when it was the special edition. So, same with Empire, right? Between 1980 and 1982, every release we went and saw again. Because, you know, it was not on VHS. It was on cable, but we didn't have cable at the time where we lived. It wasn't available. Too rural. But, anyway, long story short, too late, right? Anyway, for Empire Strikes Back, when Luke says, when Vader tells Luke, I am your father, or however he phrases it, depending on what side of the Mandela effect we're on, I didn't believe him as a kid. I thought Vader was lying. So, and it's interesting because, you know, then Return of the Jedi, Luke has just accepted it, and I'm just like, are you sure? And then I couldn't think about it too much because we got that last minute drop of, oh, let's resolve this love triangle by making them brother and sister. It's like, that's lazy. But whatever. But it's funny, like, I didn't actually believe Vader at first. And I spent the whole time convinced he was lying. I actually, as a kid, always thought Obi-Wan was actually Luke's dad. Because what, you know, in the Empire, the Return of the Jedi novelization, Obi-Wan reveals that Owen Lars at that point was his brother and not Anakin's brother. So originally Obi-Wan was from Tatooine and Owen Lars was his brother. And that of course changed over, you know, once the prequels happened. But yeah, originally Obi-Wan was from Tatooine. So when the prequels started coming out, they said, oh, Phantom Menace will have a big chunk of time on Tatooine. I thought, well, you know, maybe we're going to get some more of Obi-Wan's origin story or whatever, but no. Lucas just rewrote it all. You know, it's his baby. He's allowed to do that, but it's kind of dumb. Thought it was way more interesting, and made way more sense to me that, you know, Vader would have never gone and looked for Luke with Obi-Wan's family, because how would he even know who they were? Making Anakin from Tatooine just for me was, it felt like it was too convenient, and to me leaves some storyline holes. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that Anakin never went back to Tatooine to eliminate everyone who knew about Anakin Skywalker. So, but whatever. It's George Lucas's movie. He can do what he wants. He did anyway. And, for Vader, I'm gonna do the blue thing. When I get to the Return of the Jedi page, we'll go with I'll do him actually in the black. For this little square Vader head, we're gonna do some blues, because that was one of my favorite things in the old comics, when they would use varying shades of blue instead of black. I have a custom vintage Kenner Vader somewhere that I repainted in blue. That was pretty cool. I still need to unpack all of my custom stuff and get that all displayed. There's some pretty cool stuff that some of it, of course, is 3D prints I bought and other people's work, but I love a good custom shelf. I don't necessarily, I'm not one of those people who are like, the fans are doing the best work. I don't think that that's fully accurate. I think the fans are giving us characters that, that no toy company in their right mind would give us, because it's too obscure, and it makes really sense for a boutique, toy maker, like a fan who, like does resin prints or does 3D printing and then sculpting and whatnot, to sort of give us these really weird, obscure characters that 7 people are going to buy. But I don't subscribe to the fact that the fans are doing the best work. I think my feeling is the fans are doing the best work with the obscure, retail unfriendly items. And that's not to, not to minimize people who make custom 3D printed toys and stuff. It's such a limited audience for some of these characters, especially in Star Wars. We're like, background character for 5 seconds. Somebody thinks that design is cool and wants to wear that. It's me. But, you guys, no fighting in here. You're fighting in the hall. There we go. Anyway, I'm just going with the darker blue. And I don't want to keep ignoring the chat. Sorry. Hello, Hadley and Dread. Lovely to see you. Congratulations on all your cool DC scores lately. I've been enjoying those. It's really cool seeing all of the Superman stuff from them. I'm getting excited for that Superman movie. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of Superman per se. But I'm actually looking forward to this movie. Again, as a kid, I was always more about Supergirl. It was always my favorite character. Superman was just her boring cousin. He's kind of a jerk to women, so but I went and saw all the movies as a kid. Like back then, it's like it was an event. Everybody had to go see stuff. So it would be years before it was on TV. And then when it was on TV, it was often edited for television, which sometimes would take all the good stuff out, especially for horror movies. Let's see. All right, there we go. We've got our blue Vader. I've been on a bit of a Star Wars kick lately. Between all of the May stuff that I would normally do, plus the May the Power of the Force thing, and then Toy Geeks doing Power of the Force 2, I have been rebuilding my Star Wars Expanded Universe novel collection. Because most of that I had left in Texas. And I looked into... I don't expect that I'll be traveling home to Texas anytime soon. And if I do, it'll be like a really quick visit to see my dad. But I looked into sort of shipping all of my books and stuff, and it's pretty expensive. It's just cheaper to buy it anew, and And so I picked up some stuff on eBay, but I also went to I was in Portland recently and went to get the kittens and other stuff. And I went to Powell's City of Books and picked up a few Star Wars things. So I think I'm going to reread everything in order. Starting with the original Star Wars novelization from 1976. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, a bunch of like the sort of storybooks and stuff that they made back then. So I think I'm just going to do them in order. And then eventually I can't decide if I'm going to sort of mix into the newer stuff set in these time frames, or if I'm going to, just start in 1976 and then just read through Empire, or if I'm going to start from 76, read all of the stuff set during A New Hope, and then read all the new stuff that they've done since Disney reset the expanded universe that's set during A New Hope. So I don't know. I need to figure that out. But I do need to be reading more books just to read books. And things like Star Wars and Stephen King and V.C. Andrews, which is all I really read as a kid. Sort of those three things. And comic books, of course. But I feel like getting back into the habit of reading books, fiction books, just for the heck of reading, that aren't for research or aren't a biography or aren't political or whatever. I think Star Wars and some Stephen King and some V.C. Andrews. Let's see if I can find all of. I've got a box here somewhere with all of my trashy Jackie Collins books. So I might start rereading all of my old favorites. See how badly it's aged, because I can't imagine any of those Jackie Collins Hollywood Wives or Lucky and all of that. I can't imagine any of that has aged well. So it was so very 80s and campy back then. Let's go. We will see. Oh, there we go. Excellent. So we will see. And I kind of have this. I briefly thought, well, it's like I'll just start a second channel and I'll do all the reading over there. But I also kind of want to do something that's not at all online. So much of what I do right now is online. and for content. So I think I'm going to do, I mean, I'll share pictures and stuff on Instagram, but I think it's just going to be a me thing. Like, I need to do some stuff for me that's not internet geared. And that if it ends up on internet, it's like before I was making stuff where it's like, oh, this is a cool thing. Let me put this on my personal Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Because I did have the thought the other day that so much of what, you know, it was when I was buying some stuff on eBay. And I was like, oh, you know, it's either stuff to complete my collection or it's somehow related to, you know, research I'm doing for something or for a video I'm making. Like, I need to actually carve out some nerdy stuff that's just for me. That, you know, obviously, again, I'll share some of it, but if I do, it just happens to be because in the moment I'm seized to share it. I'm almost done with this Vader head, and then we'll get to the big Vader. But again, I really dig this sort of the layers of blue to get the black look, but not quite black. Art is so much fun. I'm gonna call my dad after this and see how he is. He is getting up there, and he just had some surgery, so. But it's one of the reasons I didn't call early because mornings are not the easiest time for him, so he is better in the afternoons and evening. So. And I don't want to rush him because I knew this was coming up. So there's nothing tackier than like, happy Father's. Okay, I gotta go. I gotta jump on the internet and stream you guys. Sorry, Dad. I'll call back. And so I'm gonna call him in a little bit. Once we're done with this, after I've had some lunch, see how his day is going. My brother, he lives right next door to my brother though, so I'm sure they have. I always like take them to dinner. My niece has actually been staying with my dad, so so I'm sure she got up and did stuff for him because she's been in general just being a much better about helping my dad than I am for sure. It's really hard though when you're, you know, I'm in Oregon, he's in Texas. It's not even like a easy day, you know, like go down to the Bay Area, it's a couple hours on a plane. Same for LA. Texas is like half a day on the plane when you factor in all that stupid airport stuff. And it's hot and gross there now. I've been up here way too long to deal with that heat. Alright, there we go. Huzzah! Mini Vader done. I'll finish the logo later. That's not the most interesting thing. Set that aside. Alright. Let's do this Vader from Return of the Jedi. See if the camera will focus. That's right. I just remembered you're in Texas. Yeah, see, 104, I would die. It hit 87 here last week, and I was like, oh my god, it's so hot. I reread this. For years now, I reread The Stand and The Dark Tower, the entire series, every few years. Same with Carrie. I'm behind on The Stand. Because the last reread I was supposed to do was 2020. And it was in the middle of the lockdown for the COVID stuff. And I got about 30 pages into The Stand. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to reread this. was not a good time. And it was right after I spent one of those first weekends, you know, in the early days of lockdown where it was like, you know, just sort of occupying your brain. I made the mistake of there was one of the streaming stations had all of the Final Destination movies on them, and I'm like, I haven't watched those in forever, and I haven't seen like the last two. I should watch these. Just let me. I was the second movie when it gets to the log thing. I was like, this is probably not the right thing to watch during lockdown. But the problem is the way my OCD works. I had to finish it. Y'all. I'm excited that there's a new Final Destination movie, but I'm not emotionally equipped to watch it yet. Because by the end of that, like all those, like there's like 7 of those at the time. By the end of those 7 movies, I was just like, what have I done? So I got 30 pages into The Stand. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna skip this reread, and we'll circle back in 2025. So I should do my Stand reread this year, because it is one of my favorite books. It's a lot of it that has not aged well, but at the same time, when it was written, it was literally a completely different world. So it's a weird thing about going back and reading stuff. I'm like, oh, wow. And so there's a lot of, you know, like slurs and stuff that we don't use anymore. Well, let me rephrase. There are a lot of slurs and stuff that people who are good people don't use anymore. But yeah, at the time, like in literature, you use those words as that was how the character would talk. It's part of how sort of modern literature was. It's like, let's be really realistic. Let's have people talk, you know, like if somebody talks with a dialect or an accent, let's somehow reflect that in the dialogue. And we have definitely moved past all of that. But it is weird to go back and reread old books where that was what the standard was, and again, it just does not age well. But also, it's not. I don't believe in canceling old stuff that of the time was acceptable. We just know better now. We don't do that anymore. So, but yeah. Anyway, long story short, I think I'm gonna reread The Stand later this year. I've got the audiobook. I bought the audiobook. I might do that. I'm trying to determine if I'm one of those people who accept that audiobook is the same as reading the book. Especially for something like The Stand that I've read at this point. Let's see. I read it first time. Well, the first one was not the complete unabridged. It was like the heavily edited one that came out in like 78 or 79. So I read that in like 83, and then the unabridged one I read right after I graduated high school in like 92. And then I read it again in like 2000. Yeah, it was 2000. It was right. Yeah, 2000, and then I read it again in, of course, 2005, 2010, 20. It's a lot. It's like 1,139 pages. No, it's not like it is, because when you read 1,139 pages every 5 years for the bulk of your adult life, you remember 1,139 pages. It's like the opening to that song from Rent. It's one of my favorites. It's funny, it always for whatever reason, it always reminds me, reading The Stand reminds me of reading Lord of the Rings, just because of like how it feels almost structured the same way. It feels like it's like the same story. You know, like a group of people come together for this common goal and then travel through this, you know, like strange land, which, you know, everything is strange post the pandemic. Past the super flu in the stand. So, but Dark Tower, and the stand is sort of adjacent to the Dark Tower in some ways. It's a really good. It's funny because, you know, I read those because again, I'm old as dirt. I read those as they came out. I remember getting the first time they did, because the original Dark Tower was released like in limited numbers as a special edition. And then they finally released them as like trade paperbacks, and they had really nice art in them. And I got, I think, 1988. My mom, it was one of my Christmas gifts, was the Dark Tower trade paperback with the. I believe that one had the Bernie Wrightson art in it. Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of. I know the stand had Bernie Wrightson art. Anyway, it had those full color plates. It was gorgeous. I read it and but I was like, what, 88? I was like 13 or 14 at the time. So it might have been Christmas of 87, somewhere in there. But I think I was just too young for it to really, most of Stephen King stuff really clicks because it's very like pop culture friendly. It's very sort of mainstream. But for whatever reason, the first time I read The Dark Tower, like, you know, middle school age, I didn't get it. It felt really weird. And I was like, I don't understand. And like the Wastelands and the Drawing of Two came out. And there's this boy I liked, and he really loved them. And I liked Stephen King, but I had never gone back. And, you know, my mom was still buying me every Stephen King movie that came out. I never went back and tried those again. And then in college, I had all this spare time between classes. I was working graveyards at this one job, and I had another job at Blockbuster. And they were both part-time. You know, so that I could afford rent and gas and food and whatnot. Everything my parents didn't, you know, weren't paying for me. They paid for a lot, so, you know, don't feel bad. The two jobs was so that I could buy books and action figures and whatnot. I mean, Blockbuster started out so I could get the discount to buy movies and get free rentals. But yeah, during that point, I would get home from Blockbuster, it'd be 1 o'clock. Everyone I know is asleep. All of my roommates were asleep because they were in college and they had early classes and whatnot. And I would stay up and read. And for whatever reason, I picked up the first one, The Gunslinger, and it just finally clicked. Like, I got it. I got really into it. And then read, within like 2 weeks, you know, it was through the Wastelands. And then a couple years, you know, right somewhere in there, The Wizards in Glass came out, and that was pretty good. And then it got stalled, and he had his accident, and he was like afraid he would not complete the book. So, anyway, I should reread those because right before the last one came out, book 7, I know he's done a few side stories since then, but right before The Dark Tower Part 7 came out, I sat down and reread them all from start to finish, and finished it right when the 7th one came out. So I went to Borders the day it dropped and bought it. And I quite liked it. Like, I know not everyone enjoys the ending of the epic or whatever, but to me it made perfect sense, and it actually, like, I felt like it was pretty good. So, anyway, Yeah, it's really, again, it's sort of a fantasy, but not quite. Girl, we know what you mean, Andrew. What's his name? Is Patio his name? His name is Patio. Andrew will be here next Sunday with Janessa J. And we're going to be coloring some pop culture from the 80s. But, yeah, I don't know. The Dark Tower is just, I quite liked them. But it's very immersive once, for me anyway, once I got sort of down into it, it felt very, very immersive. So, again, everyone's mileage will vary on that one, but all right, let me go in and do a little bit of shading on these Death Star panels. This is the equivalent of wood grain for this for today's stream. The equivalent of wood grain is the metal panels in Death Star 2. I was watching a video the other day, and the girl was doing. Excuse me. And the girl was doing that influencer voice that people use, and I was dying because she was, of course, being sarcastic about it. But like, until she did that, I didn't quite realize that so many videos are like, "Come with me so that we can see," and I was just dying. So I almost feel like I should start every so often doing a ridiculous voiceover for a short or something. But yeah, come with me to New York's most fabulous restaurant. And they all sort of do have that weird cadence, and I'm like, who started that? Because it has to be just one person did that. You know, everyone does that because they think that's the voice you're supposed to use when you're an influencer. So we should all start doing videos where we do that voice. Or it's a very soft, like very soft spoken. Like, today we're going to be going to my most favorite restaurant. When you're in the city, you should eat here. It's like either super whispery or like obnoxious. It's like the two cadences you have as an influencer. Andrew, you should start doing your voices, your videos with that voice. All right. Oh my goodness, I have the sleeping kitten on my feet. All right. I would watch that, Andrew. Exactly, right? I had somebody, I have, like, for my writers group, like, often when it's not my turn to give critique or I'm not the one getting critique, I will color. Just so that I'm occupied and not mindlessly surfing the internet, because we do them over Zoom usually. And one of the people in it was like, "Stop that! I don't like ASMR." I'm like, one, thank you for thinking I could do that, because you can make a lot of money doing that. And it's like, two, it's like literally, I'm just coloring. And so I just started muting the mic, but it was just funny. Like, I could not, because it's like I've run across those, and it's like the ones that are quiet and there's no sound, those are fine. It's the ones where it's like they're clicking stuff, like clicking their nails against weird stuff, or bubble pop or crackling. Or it's not my thing. And like, if you like it, I'm not, like, if you like that, if it brings you comfort and joy, like, good for you. It's just weird for me. Like, it's not, it makes me scroll faster. It just means I'm not the market for it. So. After watching Andor, I've been, like, every time I look at the Death Star now, I'm like, which planet did they strip mine to get all of the metal for the Death Star? So weird, the stuff I never would have thought about before, like Andor. And it's also really surprising. I usually don't like realism in my Star Wars. I prefer when Star Wars is much more space opera. Like, when people are like, "There's not sound like that in space. It's a vacuum." It's like, that's not why I'm watching Star Wars. Yeah. But so I was a little for the first Andor, even I was a little not sure if I need this much sort of reality in my Star Wars. But after the second season of Andor, I think I'm a fan. I don't want all of it to be like God, but it would be cool if every couple of years there's a movie or a TV show that, like, sort of shows more, sort of a more realistic lens of the Star Wars universe. I don't think that can become everything, because that would get really boring and tedious. And in my opinion, what I have been missing from Disney Star Wars is sort of the swashbuckling space opera, And I get it. It's like Star Wars is a tricky property. You've got a big chunk of fans who love Star Wars because of the original trilogy. You've got a big chunk of fans who like it because of the prequels. You've got Clone Wars fans. You got people who came in because of Rebels. Like, in about 5 to 6 years, we're gonna have all the kids who really liked the sequels. Of course, by that point, a bunch of this original trilogy babies will be no longer here. But it's a difficult property because it's got so many generations baked into it. My generations who really are looking for really different experiences from their media. So I do not envy the actual people making the stuff. Because they have to sort of appease what all of the try to appease everyone. There's just no way to appease everyone. I mean, Lucas couldn't even with the prequels. Like, we were all, and I include myself, we were all super jerky about elements of the prequels. So, like, even Mr. Lucas. I mean, originally when Disney announced that they were taking over Star Wars, there were a lot of people like, good, the prequels are trash. And a lot of those people are the same ones who like, George used the code to take it back. It's just, no Star Wars is ever going to hit the way your first Star Wars hit. Like, the first time you see a Star Wars, if you're into Star Wars, it's going to be like your best Star Wars. It's just kind of hard to accept. Yeah. Star Wars I may not like that much. Somebody else loves it. I'm looking, no, I'm not even going to say it. You go there. But yeah, I don't like all of Star Wars, but I do like Star Wars. So. There we go. Alright. Well, I will say these metal panels are going a little bit faster than the wood grain did a few weeks ago. So there is that. Oh, hi. Now I have 2 kittens under the desk. And Matt must have gone outside to the garden. Babies. All right, there we go. Got some great panels. It's fun to feel them out a little. A few of them are a little rough. Alright, I got some boring gray panels behind him. Hello, Alex. Good morning-ish. Oh yeah, there's cat violence in the hallway. Should probably get checked, but at the same time, they're just at that age where they fight, so let them fight it out. There we go. The artist on this Jedi book was pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with most of her work in this book. Hello, Jarek, and happy Father's Day, Mr. Hoover. And I assume, just based on how often Shauna kills it, that she and Henry have gotten an amazing day planned for you. So, but thank you for taking time out of that to pop in and say hello. It's muchly appreciated. Good to hear, Jack. You deserve a good day. Alright, I'm gonna finish our panels and our floor. Now it's time for Vader himself. And really quickly. I can never quite remember his little panel in his belt. So I'm quickly pulling up a reference. And it's the actual publicity shot that this is pulled from. So, all right, very good. And this is the version that has a bunch of gray up there. All right. All right, I think I got it. So I'm going to quickly start with all of the stuff on his chest and belt that aren't black. Alright, let's see. The rest of these are either blue, white, or red. Hold off on those. little chest plate thing here. What's going on over there, little cat? I'm sort of squawking. Just good Lord. Kitten rampage. Alright, and this particular costume, these little plates and the nose are silver. So go in with the gray and do that. But I'll probably go back to the silver gel pen and go over those. And for Vader, I think I'm just going to use black for this one. So, this is the part where it's just literally black. So, I'm sorry about that. It's ending up being not the most colorful page, but it'll be fine. Okay, looks like the texture is showing up on the screen, so it's always hard to tell what will show up on the live streams just because of how wonky StreamYard is with my camera sometimes. Luckily, it looks like the texture is showing up. very good. All right, very good. Cape is done. Wait, I don't like that. All right, for real, done that time. It's not quite like how it was turning out in there. go. No. Do most of his suit here. All right. And of course, the trick here is having it not all fade into sort of just a big blob. Um, Thank you, Alex. Same. I will say also, I think a big part of that as a kid, why I didn't notice was the action figure never changed. It wasn't until the 90s when I started picking up like the art of Star Wars and sort of, you know, during the Power of the Force 2 era, where I realized that each movie the costume's a little bit different. And the first movie, of course, looks, and it makes sense. They had such a small budget for it. You know, that the costume, if you really look at it, has, you know, looks fairly cheap in places. And then Empire, it's, you know, like a bunch of it looks really good. And then by Return of the Jedi, it's really, you know, we've got sort of the gray bits in it, and the dome, his helmet is super shiny. Oh yeah, and Lucas started doing that toward the end. Like, it was really clear at sort of with some of the choices in Return of the Jedi that Lucas was definitely thinking about the toys and the merchandising. And he always had his sort of, I mean, from the get-go when he secured sort of the merchandising rights. I mean, obviously he had no idea that would be as lucrative as it was. I mean, there's no way you could. There had been, you know, there had been nothing like that before, so it's not like, you know, there's like Planet of the Apes and some Star Trek stuff. So, you know, like there would have been the sense that you could have some moderate success with somebody licensing your stuff. You know, not even like say the $6 million man. You know, sort of, you know, it was pretty big for the time, but it still wasn't, you know, Star Wars was just bigger. But I mean, that was also the standard. And that was one of the first real big successes in like marketing, merchandise for a toy line that, you know, did really, really well. And so, Jerry Kenner was at the forefront of that. It's like you got $6 Million Man and Bionic Woman, and then they got Star Wars. And then right after that, American Greetings, Welcome Strawberry Shortcake, and then the Care Bears, and then they had superpowers. Like, it sort of makes sense. While in their later years, they started focusing almost entirely on licensed product, where so much of what made Kenner was all the merchandise, all of the various properties. None of their homegrown brands ever quite, went that big. And they definitely tried, like Mask did pretty well. Mask had an impact. It fizzled out pretty quickly. They had Glamour Gals in the 80s, which got 2 or 3 really good years. But they never really had a homegrown property that went really, really big. So Kenner's almost all of Kenner's biggest successes post the 1970s was licensed properties. Like, they did pretty well, like with things like the Bubble-Matic and the Bubble Rocket, like all their little bubble guns and their various paint sets, the Give a Show projector, like all of that stuff did pretty easy bake oven. Like, they had some really big iconic toys, but even Spirograph wasn't theirs originally. That was licensed from I believe they may have eventually bought it outright for US, but that was something a German inventor came up with. I believe he was. I need to rewatch my video where I talk about it. But I researched all of that for that Dip Dots video, and like, that wasn't even something Kenner created themselves. And Spirograph originally wasn't intended to be sort of a toy. Like, the creator made it thinking it would help, like architects and artists and whatnot, and engineers, like, be able to do things more easily. I've got one of the Hasbro Kenner throwback sets. I need to break that out and play with it, because I always wanted a Spirograph as a kid and never got one because they were, finger quotes, spendy. And by the time my dad was making money where we could have afforded one, I had long moved past wanting a Spirograph. Maybe I'll do that on the stream. Break the Spirograph out. I'll find a page that doesn't really have a background to it. And we'll play around with the Spirograph on stream and make like a background or something. That would be fun. And I won't know what I'm doing, so you guys can see me get angry and frustrated, getting completely out of my element with the art tool. Might even hear me drop a couple extra F-bombs. Maybe I'll throw something. I haven't ever gotten mad enough on the stream to throw anything. I have on stuff I film, but you guys, it's easy to edit that out. I was filming something, and like the lead kept breaking on the pencil, and I finally just got mad and threw it across the room. I'm like, I'm gonna pause the camera. Come with me while we walk away from this page I'm filming. It's a complete nightmare. Fuck this shit. I'm gonna go find sweets and get another Diet Coke. And so, but that would be a fun stream. I'll figure out. I'll find a page that will work with that so that I can, for one of these solo streams, I'll play with the spider graph and you guys can watch. Well, I try to make a cool background for something using it. All right. Oh yeah, that's coming. Like here I can tell, but I'm looking at the screen and it's definitely like all the folds and stuff are definitely still dominant enough that it's evident that it's not just a big blob of color. That's pretty cool. All right. It kind of is why sometimes I will sort of lean into the blueness of the Vader, is that it's a lot easier to not lose all of your details with the blue. Okay. Good Lord. How is it like an hour and 43 minutes later already? It happens every time. Everything seems like time is moving normally, and then I blink and it's almost done. Very good. All right. For the control panel, use this black glitter gel pen. All right. And for the chain, I'm going to use a silver gel pen. Oh, very good. Let me get this other glove. Hello. Okay. All right. Really quick. You want to be on camera? All right. Oh, you're like, no. Look up. Oh my goodness. All right. There you go. Oh, I see what's going on. Did you get crowded out? Yeah. Okay. There you go. I now have 3 cats under there, and the kitten that was just on screen was the 4th. He got crowded out. So that one was Gladius. We were calling him Gladys, but thanks to the vet, it would appear that Gladys is Gladius. So at the time of this recording. Yeah, I've got 10 minutes. I might get some of this glove done, but that's okay. I've got a couple whips. And whatever is left of this, whenever we do stop today, there will be enough that it will be easy enough to finish it up. I'm going to start doing a whip stream at least once a month, so we won't get it won't get as bad as it is currently right now very often again. Hello, Wesley Jordan. Welcome. And happy Father's Day to you. Oh, thank you. I didn't draw it though. It's from a coloring book. I just do the colors. Although I do have a couple drawings coming up. In shorts. So I did 3 Blade Runner drawings, and then my friend drew me a Blade Runner page, and I made them into shorts. So this will be, I think, the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 28th, I believe. It'll be like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday, the week of the 24th. So it'll be definitely coming up though. I'm kind of nervous about the 3 that I drew because I'm really rusty. So, but this is just from a coloring book from 1983. You definitely do, Alex. Art always makes everyone happier. Well, not everyone, but I mean, if you're making art, it usually makes you happier. Let's see. All right, we've got about 6 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna finish this glove at least. It would look too weird to leave the glove sort of half done. All right, the glove is complete. We've got 3 minutes. I don't think there's anything I can actually do in 2 minutes. Go in and outline the buttons really quick. I'm going to do the section of the belt with the black glitter pen. Wrapping this belt up. Sorry, I just once it started, I could not stop. All right, there you go. And just so we don't completely lose the box and the glitter pen. Alright, very good. And there we have mostly complete Vader, but not fully. We will get him next time. Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to them. They were a lot of fun to do. I just finished them over the weekend. And I already have a few more pages planned that I want to, a few more Blade Runner pages. I kind of want to do a few more of the characters. So, oh, nice. That would be really rad. I would love to see that. You should. You should be creating stuff, Alex. All right, we're gonna stop here. And, because it's 2 hours. You guys are delightful, but after 2 hours, I've noticed I start getting a little crispy. All right, so let's see what is coming up. All right, so next week is not the Blade Runner shorts. Shorts-wise, I have some Star Wars stuff coming up. Some of it is from the Dip Dots book. Tomorrow on Monday, I've got a 1986 Gem in the Holograms coloring book, flip through and coloring. That goes live tomorrow morning. And then on next Friday, to sort of celebrate that, Color and Chill will be Gem in the Holograms, Pizzazz Makes a Splash. And then next Saturday, for the people who love the toy booklets, I've got the 1976 Play-Doh product booklet. So 1976 vintage Play-Doh. And then next Sunday, I will be hosting Andrew and Janessa J. And we're going to be coloring live. I might do some Gem in the Holograms. I might not. We'll see how I feel. And then coming up after that, we've got a retro cavalcade with myself, Derek J. Hoover, Andrew, and then we've got a special guest. We're still confirming all the deets, so I'm not going to announce it just yet. But the subject is going to be our favorite action figures of musicians we wish we had. So it'll be fun. And trying to think what else. The Blade Runner stuff is coming up. And then on the 29th, the stream, I'll be by myself again. We'll do a Sunday. And I'm gonna try to finish that Harley Quinn that I started at the beginning of the month. In July, we should be back to normal. Kitten, I've got a kitten loving on me. We'll be back to normal guests on Sunday. It's just with all the traveling I had to do this month and various things, it was really hard to guarantee I was gonna be here every Sunday, so I didn't want to schedule with people and then have to cancel because I didn't get back from Portland on time or whatever. So anyway, thank you. Yeah, 2 hours goes really fast. It happens every time there's that point where it's like, wow, it's been 30 minutes and it feels like 30 minutes. And then the next thing you know, it's 2 hours. So anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. I'm glad that you guys hung out with me today. It's a bummer not getting to fly home to see my dad, because my dad is pretty cool. But it was quite nice to hang out with you guys and talk and babble. I appreciate you. I will see you all in the next one, and probably in chats other places later today. And on that note, thanks for watching. Don't forget to smack the like. Alice and Troy, Retro Toy Princess, and I'm outie.